is a habit that we must break. Blaming players for buffs that they never asked for, but yes, they are benefiting from, is a curse that the Tekken community is plagued from. I wonder if Street Fighter players do this, Guilty Gear, Mortal Kombat, Tekken players, this is a endless cycle, and it feels like I'm the only one who sees it. In Season 1, Yoshimitsu was one of the most powerful characters in the whole game. And then what it felt like, all of the player base descending on me to let their frustrations out. Moonsault, you're carried by Yoshimitsu. You wouldn't be nothing if he wasn't this powerful. And then in that moment, there's not much you can do. When people deem your character overpowered and then they deem you a negative thing from it, you literally can't fight back. You can't argue. You can't try to explain. The players just want blood, and it's super unfair to target the players for the actions of the developers. And I knew then, just like I know now, that as soon as the balancing shifted to another character, so will the target, because we've seen this happen from Tekken 7 to Tag 2, now even in Tekken 8, where random players are targeting and harassing people just because they play a certain character, and the developers decided that they will buff those characters. Like, think about the Zafina mains. I know a Zafina main that was playing that one character for the entire time of their experience in Tekken. But in Season 2, when she gets buffed to the extreme, no one asks for that buff, but she gets buffed. I asked that player, have you been getting a lot of hate mail, a lot of toxicity thrown your way? Bro was like, yes. Now, if you think about the character Asuka, when he did this interview here where he named the top 5 characters to be Asuka, Raven, Anna, Alyssa, and Panda, this was back on May 21st, so things changed a little bit. But when he said this, I knew Asuka mains were going to be attacked. Now, even at the start of Season 2, I did feel like Asuka was pretty diabolical as well, way before. She was actually the first character that I faced in Season 2. And her being the first character that I faced in Season 2 and being so familiar with the matchup, I can see how much the developers pushed and changed and buffed this character. And I was like, this is crazy. Now, obviously, I didn't understand to the full extent, but with this tweet here from Nee and many tweets just like it, we understood full and well what the developers did to that character. But now when you think about the people who play that character, currently you have King Rain Jr., that guy's been doing serious work. And as this conversation around Asuka broke, I started to preemptively defend the King Ray Jr. That guy was doing serious work with Asuka in Season 1, rivaling Arslan, coming in second place. That guy was incredible. And I knew with Asuka being buffed, people were going to try to diminish his accomplishments. But then you have another great Asuka main, which is Fergus. Fergus has a little bit of a longer history than King Ray. You know, King Ray is a little bit younger, but Fergus is tried and tested and definitely is one of the best Asukas on the planet. But here comes Season 2 and all of the Asuka buffs, and Fergus starts to play much, much better. And now, this is just true with everyone. Think about how Yoshimitsu was top dog, and then you have all of the Yoshimitsu mains popping up and taking top 8, top 16. Where are those guys now? You same thing with Jin, same thing with Dragunov, same thing with Azazina, same thing with Victor. Like every character, when a character is get buffed, the people who are mains of those characters rise up. When they get nerfed, they drop down. Fergus is no different. And I say all of this to say that there is a pattern happening here where players are attacking other players for something that is well out of their control. The only time I think it's okay to kind of give someone a rough time is when they're asking for buffs that is very obviously too broken, or they are defending something that very obviously should be gone. I'll give you an example of what I mean right here. I Am Fear responds and says, we deserve Season 2. This is in response to a Nina player who says, I thought they fixed it. That's what they said in the patch notes, but it still doesn't trigger stage hazards. And what this is Nina shooting her pistols and it splatting Leroy against the wall, but it doesn't blow up. Now, a lot of us would agree that this thing shouldn't even be possible. This projectile throwing you all the way across the stage is pretty obnoxious. But then this Nina player wanting this God of Destruction Nina player, by the way, so they're very good at the game, wanting this to trigger the wall so that they could do a full combo and possibly kill. This is the type of players that we make fun of because they're asking for something that is ridiculous and should not be possible. And not the people who are just playing a character. Whether they're winning or succeeding, if they're honest about what's happening with their character, then in my opinion, there's no reason to attack. But the reason why I'm talking about this today is because, as Spaghetti Rip says, we just saw two EU Asukas take out Arslan and Cuddlecore one after another. Fergus beats Arslan 2-1 to move on to top 16. But you can see here how Fergus is just using this endless aggression to basically steamroll. He's taking as little risk as possible, little chances as possible, one-sided offense, and he takes the cake.
More still has he available. Out of heat, out of gusto, another one.
Joy down by free. Oh, he
Yes,
drops
and
it!
what a call. Fergus taking it over. Arsenal in pools. And the claps around the venue. Europe popping off. That's what we love to see.
This is pooled as well.
So that was a great victory by Fergus there. Defeating Arslan with a busted character, broken character, weak character, trash character, it doesn't matter. Defeating Arslan Ash, period, is something that most people cannot do. I mean, if you look at what Jod said about Arslan and Nina, he says, I know everyone is on the Nina hype train because Arslan makes it look so easy, but playing her feels horrible in Season 2. Reminds me of Tekken 7 where risk reward was never in your favor. Now, if we step over and we look at Fergus's take to all the backlash, it starts here with this tweet here where he says, versus this guy at top 16. Then you have the celebration. Oh my God. You also have King Ray Jr. in the comment section saying they nerfed her and we are still winning. Fergus in their own tweets say finally broke ninth place curse and got into top 8 with a big win too. And then here's the sad part. A lot of hate and fanboys coming after me. It's not like I didn't have success with Asuka in previous seasons and Tekken. I used her in tournaments for 15 years and now she's finally top tier and I'm just reaping the rewards for how long it lasts. Fully aware she's carrying me and I'm getting wins on players I probably shouldn't. But game is game, and this is how she is. I like how Fergus says game is game because it reminds me of that very ancient saying of don't hate the player, hate the game. But the Tekken players kind of forget that. They twist it, they tweak it. They say hate the players and the game. We're going to hate both of them, and it's just not fair. Fergus, whether or not his character was buffed, he worked just as hard as everyone else. Also, keep in mind that a lot of these guys are playing very powerful characters as well. So when you have an Asuka going up against a Nina or an Anna or whoever, all of these characters are pretty much broken. And there's only a small few who in tournament are not cooking. So to play this game of like, oh, you play Asuka, it's crazy because the majority of players in tournaments are picking characters based on how powerful they are. And then we attack the people who are the most loyal to that character. It would be different. I'm just going to say, for example, Ulsan. It would be different if Ulsan switched from Dragunov to Asuka and was doing this kind of work. And then you want to call out Ulsan for being like, you know, chasing tears. But you're going to attack one of the most well-known and beloved Asuka mains and talk trash to them. Come on, bro. That's crazy. I just can't stand by that. People do it all the time, and I don't understand why, especially in the environments of tournaments where everyone is playing the strongest characters and doing the most diabolical setups. I think that we should, put our criticisms towards the game and try to figure out why the developers continuously buff characters so drastically. Take a low tier character and make them the strongest in the game. Take a top tier character, make them the worst in the game. Why can't the developers buff or nerf characters just enough to make them good, to make them solid, to make them viable? Weaknesses, some strengths, and then the character is somewhat balanced. That's what we should put our attention on, but it seems the Tekken players will just continuously to mindlessly attack the players who are playing characters that are buffed, no matter if they're a main of that character or if they switch.